Welcome to the Sporty Sibling Podcast,
where we score touchdowns and make baskets.
To Trier. Trier drives down and throws it down. Alonzo Trier.
Today they're gonna match off and talk about
Welcome to the latest episode of the Sporty Sibling Podcast, where we dive into some of the biggest headlines in sports. Yes, today we have a lot to discuss, especially the Phoenix Mercury's recent decision to make travel adjustment following the Brittney Griner incident. If y'all don't know, you'll know now. Well, we'll also take a look at the latest rumor surrounding Chase Young's potential trade and, the sadness of it, really, with several contenders among the logical suitors for the talented pass rusher. Because, yes, he is talented, he just got sent to a crappy situation. And, of course, we'll discuss 3 teams that should go all in at the MLB trade deadline this year. All right, these 3 teams, based on everything I've researched, everybody said these 3 teams need to go all in, and I was sold. It was easy as pie. As well as the recent government scrutiny facing the PGA Tour-LIV Golf partnership and the Saudis, of course. We'll see what happens. We'll get your opinion, my opinion. That's how this works. So please sit back, relax, and let's get started. Panda, take us to our first topic. Thank you for that, Panda. And for those listening, we're going to talk about the Brittney Griner incident at the DFW International Airport. So, the WNBA is set to make travel changes after this incident. But what happened? So, the dispute arose from a video uploaded on Sunday by Alex Stein, a popular YouTuber, in which he loudly confronted Griner while she was walking through the airport. Okay? Stein raised various issues with Griner, such as whether she harbored hatred towards America and whether exchanging a Russian prisoner for her freedom was a just arrangement. Now, Griner had been, just an FYI for those that don't know, Griner had been indicted in Russia for almost 10 months, had been detained, and indicted for almost 10 months on drug-related charges that would have seen her face almost 10 years in a Russian prison, but was eventually released in December of 2022 due to the Russian prisoner exchange for her life. Okay? Now, that's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to tell you this right off the bat, just to get my 2 cents out of that first part. Number 1, I may not agree with the situation that happened in Russia and how it was handled and how it happened. Sorry, my light kind of screwed up. But never, ever will I sit here and justify somebody being harassed when they're just trying to go through airports, go through their lives, and just move on with that situation. Whether you agree with it or not, to me, this Alex Stein was wrong for doing that. Had it been different, had Griner gone into his podcast and sat down and talked and then was asked these questions, it would have been different. But no, she was minding her own business. She was leaving everyone alone, just trying to get from point A to point B, and this guy was harassing her. That alone, ladies and gentlemen, is wrong. Okay? Plain and simple, it's wrong. Okay? So, putting that out there, what he did is wrong. Not him asking questions, but him harassing her about the situation and just harassing her when she wasn't doing anything to him or wasn't, out there trying to make money off of, well, I don't say make money, but trying to, live lavishly, I guess, from the situation, then, she was just trying to get from point A to point B. That is it. So, harassment is just plain wrong. Okay? Now, to kind of get into it. So, this event does raise many questions, such as why Griner was flying commercial when the league approved her to fly charter with fly charter. But even then, she still chose to fly with the team over the weekend. Now, head coach Vanessa Nigard did make a statement saying, "I was hired to be the coach of the team. I'm not in maybe all of those conversations about the travel things. I do know, though, Phoenix is an organization. As an organization, we followed the rules, and we were given guidelines for travel, and we followed the guidelines established by the league. We will be making travel adjustments that maybe should have happened beforehand, but right now we're going to prioritize the safety of our players, and we've seen the organization has supported us as well." So, simply stating, she's saying, hey, we followed the rules. This situation still happened. We're going to create more changes so that this does not happen again. And I think that's 100% fair to say. And as the head coach, really, it is not her job it's both her job and not her job to be in those situations. Because it is her job to be in travel meetings so that everybody understands what's going on. But at the same time, that's up to the higher-ups to handle that stuff. Maybe handle the day-to-day stuff. Maybe the coach should be part of it. But I understand her saying that, hey, I may not be at all the meetings and all the conversations. But still. But again, some of the following the rules wasn't enough. Following the guidelines wasn't enough for Phoenix to not have this happen. The question now lies one of the many questions is that, what happened within those those league rules, where in that section happened that this was allowed to happen? Where? Secondly, like I stated earlier, with Griner's situation, why was she not flying charter the way she was approved to do? Given that we can all easily assume that had she flown charter and not commercial with the rest of the team, this probably wouldn't have happened. Now, I personally have flown charter before, thanks to being in the Aggie band, and yeah, we get pretty much, straight into the plane, few checks, and we're done, and we're out of there. Boom, 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 boom. It's really, really easy. So the question I ask is, why is she not traveling charters? I know one of the many questions was who's going to pay for all this, whether it was the team or Griner herself or the league, which fine, that's a whole nother argument that we're not going to get into here. But now I'm questioning, and since reading the stories, I'm questioning why was she not just smart enough and, saying, hey, I'm going to take this issue up front and I'm going to leave. Now, she could have felt comfortable with the guidelines that the WNBA had set and the coaches had set for the whole team and said, okay, I think I'll be okay to fly with the team. And on the other hand, too, maybe she was just like, you know what? There's just no time right now. We're flying on Saturday. We got to play on Sunday. Maybe there's no charters available. There's just so many different scenarios that we can sit here and say, as to why she was there. But again, we kind of turn back around into a little circle and say, where did the league and the Phoenix and the team messed up during the guidelines established by the league themselves, where the situation was able to arise? Now, again, to me, this event was avoidable. This situation was 100% avoidable. Yes, I can't entirely agree with, like I said earlier, I can't entirely agree with everything about Brittney Griner's overseas situation. Okay? I'm going to simply say that. I'm not going to go into it, but there's things about it I do not agree with, and that's all that I'm going to say to it. But, like I said, what I can say is that no one deserves to be harassed anywhere in the world. No matter what the problem is, no matter what's behind you, the only people that deserve to be harassed in this situation are people who mess with little kids and Eagles fans. That is it. All right? That is it. And Longhorn fans too. But that's just me being an ass. Either ways though, ladies and gentlemen, outside of those three things, yeah, no one deserves to be harassed. No one. But the WNBA needs to make changes to protect the players from situations like this. I've said this many times, they need to do this. All right? Obviously, this is something that hopefully begets change. I do like what teammate Brianna Turner said about the incident. I would say yesterday was a huge disappointment. I don't blame the league. Obviously, no one could have predicted this as much as they wanted to. But at the same time, I think more measures could have been in place. Again, hopefully this is a teachable moment because she's right. No one thought it would happen because everything was in place. Everybody followed the rules. And bada bing, bada boom, it still happened. So obviously it is disappointing that it happened. So let's figure out where it got messed up and we can always fix it. In the end, the whole situation was a giant foobar for the WNBA, the Phoenix Mercury, and Brittney Griner herself. And I do hope in the future this will lead to changes for the WNBA travel policy to protect all players involved. Because again, harassment is never okay. Whether you agree with the situations or not of an individual, harassment is never okay. And there should have been better ways to handle this, both in the WNBA, Phoenix Mercury, and on this YouTuber's part. But for that being said, Panda, take us to our next topic. Thank you, Panda. And for those listening, we're talking about Chase Young and his potential suitors. Yeah. So, as the NFL season heats up, rumors are swirling around the NFL about a potential trade involving Washington Commanders pass rusher Chase Young. While nothing is set in stone, we do know that he is on the trade block because they did not pick up his 5th-year option, meaning that after this year, he's a free agent. Now, we know what's going on with the Commanders. They are being currently sold. They're probably, according to what everybody's saying, they are going to be sold here in the next few weeks. But will new ownership keep Chase Young, or will current ownership say, screw that, we're giving everyone away, so new ownership has to start from the bottom up and go from there? Now, again, while nothing is set in stone, there are 7 logical suitors that could benefit from adding a talented young player to the roster like Chase Young. Now, we're going to look closely at each team and their potential interest in acquiring Mr. Young. I will add that in my 8th spot, the Cowboys should be in the mix for this, but unfortunately, because let's be serious, the Commanders are not going to trade within division. They're not in my top 7, but I do firmly believe that Chase Young could benefit the Cowboys a lot. Now, there is an argument to be made that current ownership may trade away Young, no matter what, to someone within the division to screw with new ownership, but highly unlikely. So the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys are not in my top 7 at all. No, just so everyone is aware. Although I think that Chase Young could help any of those teams truly become contenders on their defenses, especially the Cowboys and the Eagles. But at my 7th spot, we have the New Orleans Saints. Now, it is very important to mention that the Saints do not have cap space to give Young a long-term deal, meaning that more than likely he will only be there past this year. He won't be there past this year if a trade does come to fruition. Now, there's a possibility they might give him another 1-year extension, but that's highly unlikely. But again, adding Young would help increase the defense that was at the bottom when it came to quarterback hurry percentage. And since they are in a win-now mode, this is an obvious move for them. All right? This could really help them in a very, very weak NFC South division that any team could take. Honestly, any of those 4 teams could take it. At number 6, of course, we have to get the San Francisco 49ers on the board. No, simply with Nick Bosa at the verge of securing a highly lucrative contract, because let's be serious, he is their star pass rusher, and he's going to demand high-paying money. And with the team recently investing a significant amount of money in bringing in John Hargrave on board for the interior of that defense, and the departure of both Samson Ebukam and Charles Omenihu in free agency, it's kind of duh to say that they could benefit from bolstering their depth on the defensive line, defensive edge technically, with adding Chase Young. San Francisco heavily relies on its defense to maintain order, while their offense is very much run heavy. Okay? Hence why they played Christian McCaffrey so much. So I think GM John Lynch might need to stop and think about it and gamble and trade away something for a player that does have a long-term potential in this league. Now, it just goes again, how much are they going to pay Nick Bosa? Know how much depth they have and things of that sort. But I could see them making a move like this. At number 5, I have the Indianapolis Colts. So, the Colts are kind of a weird situation because they do have DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, and Kitty Pay on the team, and they're all very much well-talented players on the defensive line. They could wreak havoc. They did last year. They can do it again. I think they just need to build, consensus within each other. However, they do not have Yannick Ngakoue, coming into this year. So, the people that are technically going to replace him are a bunch of backup players. And I don't think you want backup players to fill the void that your primary pass rusher from last year was filling. Now, Shane Steichen, the team's new head coach, is adopting a more future-oriented approach, as we have seen by the evidence from their quarterback, who they drafted with the 4th overall pick. So, given that he's young, he's early, young still has much room to develop, this actually could be a win-win situation for both players. For both player and team. Team gets a young player to build for the future. Young gets a new fresh start with a young fresh coach and a young team that really is just looking to get things going. I think this could work. At the 4th spot, we have the Seattle Seahawks. So last year, they made the playoffs by surprise. Still, though, they were in the mix for most of the second part of the season, to which I have said before, and I'll say it again. If they had just a bit more help on the defense, by getting to the quarterback, they could have won the division or made a higher seed in the playoffs. Now, given that some of the games that they lost were due to lack of pass rusher, adding Young would automatically improve their defense and their chances to make them contenders for the NFC West crown and dark horses in the NFC. Depends on what happens on offense, of course, with their new quarterback and everybody else that they have. At number 3, at the 3rd spot, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. What? Duh. Let's be serious. They lost a few players during free agency, and they do want to repeat. So they got to go look at the defense, okay? At the defensive side of the ball. Plus, with Chris Jones not reporting to camp and, waiting on what's going on with this deal, adding Young would help this defense automatically. On top of that, if Jones decides to return during this mini camp and they do have Young, this could probably be a DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller situation where Chris Jones, who is a potential Hall of Famer, could teach his young buck to become a Hall of Famer himself. So I think this is a win situation for both of them. And this could be something the Chiefs can do. At the second spot, of course, we have this team, the Chicago Bears. The Bears. During the offseason, Ryan Poles invested a substantial amount of money in filling the void left by Raekwon Smith, who was quite impactful with his performance. But despite the underrated addition of DeMarcus Walker, the Bears could benefit from acquiring a top-tier edge rusher if the aim is to improve the defense. Now, Young could fulfill that role and contribute to the team's long-term vision, given that the Bears do have a league-leading $32.6 million in salary cap space. So, this could be a win-win situation again. At number 1, you knew I was going to have them, the Detroit Lions. During their off-season endeavors, they displayed aggression, wisdom, and fortitude to fortify their defense, mainly focusing on strengthening their secondary. Now, their sights are set on competing for the NFC North Championship in this coming year. However, they could benefit from adding a dominant force alongside Aiden Hutchinson on the front line, which I've said before that they should. While Romeo Okwara and John Kaminsky are solid players, Young's impressive physical stature and athleticism could propel them to an even greater level of performance that we have not seen them do before. Additionally, since they do have ample salary cap space, this provides them with flexibility to make moves and keeping for the long term, which is what we want. Or what they want. I wouldn't mind that either. In conclusion, though, the rumors surrounding a trade for Chase Young have sparked much interest among football fans and myself. The rumors can keep going, and with his impressive skills on the field, it's no wonder why several teams have been identified as potential suitors. It's the truth. As the Commanders consider their options, it will be interesting to see where Young ultimately ends up. Regardless of the outcome, we can be sure that this talented pass rusher will continue to make his name for himself in the NFL. And that is the truth. But Panda, take us to our next topic. Thank you for that, Panda. And for those listening, we're going to be talking about the teams that need to go all in at the MLB trade deadline. I actually did a lot of research for this, ladies and gentlemen, so get excited for this topic. So, as the 2023 MLB trade deadline approaches, teams are strategizing their next moves, which they really need to do. While some may play it safe, these 3 teams should go all in and make big moves to improve their chances of success. And these 3 teams, after all the research I did, read countless articles, looked at countless stats, I was like, everybody's right. Everybody that I read, everybody that I saw, everybody said the same thing. These same 3 teams need to go all in at the trade line. These teams have the potential to make a run for the World Series. That's how close they're like this, and should not let the opportunity slip away. With the right trades and acquisitions, this team could become the serious dark horses or contenders in the league. All right? And it only shocked me as I was realizing this. I was like, holy cow, like, you're right. Oh my God, you're how did I not see that? You're so right. So let's go ahead and start off. Number 1, the Arizona Diamondbacks. Their current record is 39-25, placing them first in the NL West. I know, and they've only spent $114 million in cost for the team. Everybody else in the division is in upwards 200s. So they have plenty of space. They have plenty of money to give. Again, their major need here is pitching. Now, in the past, I have never been a strong advocate of the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'll admit it. I'm not going to hide it. They've never been my favorite. But after doing this research, ladies and gentlemen, I have changed my mind. I am now becoming an advocate for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I am going to express my high expectations for them in the rest of this 2023 season now. Because of this research, because of what I see and how bold they have been. I firmly believe that they will secure a playoff spot this year easily. And it's only June. They are currently leading the NL West and appear to be on track to fulfill my prediction. It's the truth. Everybody's saying it. Go read every article about the Diamondbacks and tell me that who has not said that. Everybody is saying that they're going to make the playoffs. And even though it's early in the season and anything can happen, I do not see them not changing this favorable position. However, the Diamondbacks could benefit from bolstering their pitching staff by adding depth to their starting rotation and acquiring reliable bullpen arms. That is the one thing that everybody said they needed to do. They need to get people in the bullpen. Flip them out. Switch them out. Get somebody fresh as often as you can get it. If they can address their pitching needs, they have the potential to achieve almost anything in this league. It will require them to be aggressive and proactive during the trade deadline to do this. I don't think there's as many as we think that could easily be picked up. But I think if they trade for somebody, that could be different. But again, they're literally, the Diamondbacks are like this. They're like this to make it to the World Series. Or at least give somebody a run for their money. Firmly agree with this. My second team that I was kind of like, okay, I can see that. I wasn't as surprised as the Diamondbacks, but I was a little bit befuddled. The Baltimore Orioles. Their current record is 39-24. They're second place in the AL East, only 6.5 games back. But why are they 6.5 games back? Because they're missing a starting pitcher and star power. They need names. They need someone that's out there that's going to bring in the people. We question what the Baltimore Orioles are doing right now. They're this close. If you ask me, they would likely acknowledge that the Orioles are... I will acknowledge, that the Orioles have been kind of exciting this year. And just based on what they're doing, they are in playoff contention. They are a playoff contending team. I agree with that. But the front office doesn't share that view based on what they're doing. With a wave of talented young players on the verge of making an impact, such as Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, the team has the potential to become a dominant force in the league. But they are not taking the blueprint that they should be from the Astros, who have done the same thing that they do every year. They struggle, they acquire draft picks, make them into impactful players, and boom, they make it to the World Series. Now, here, it doesn't matter how they do it, as long as they do it. Their Orioles must supplement their roster 100%, whichever way they can. They just need to freaking supplement it. Add them in permanent pitcher, a power hitter, or ideally both, could transform this team into a formidable contender in the playoffs. With the right additions, the Orioles can more than defeat any opponent and become everything they aspire to be in the postseason. But that's only if they get both. If they get one or the other, I think they could make a run at it. But it wouldn't be surprising if they lost after their first round. Again, though, if they can get both, which is more than possible for where they're at and what they're doing. But who knows? Who knows what the front office is doing over there? God only know. Lastly, and this one kind of hurt my heart, but I was like, all right, I gotta be truthful though. I gotta be honest. The Texas Rangers record now is 40-22, first place in the American League West. And what do they need? They need the closer, a relief pitching. I firmly believe that the Texas Rangers have the potential to win the World Series this year. Yes, I will repeat that again, ladies and gentlemen. I firmly believe. June 13. Wait, no. June 14th. Sorry. Wrong date. I'm already backwards. That the Texas Rangers have the potential to win the World Series this year. They possess an array of star players and formidable pitching staff. Okay? That's no doubt. That's why they're 40-22. Currently, Nate Eovaldi is performing exceptionally well and can be considered arguably one of the top pitchers this year. However, though, they lack a bullpen. Nate can't do everything. They can't pitch him for 6 innings. They're gonna burn him out before the season. They need to give him a break sometimes. So, what do they need to do? They need to pursue high caliber relievers such as Aroldis Chapman from the New York Yankees or Scott Barlow from the Royals. The good thing about all this is that the Rangers in recent years have demonstrated that they will do whatever it takes to improve the team. Hence why they're where they're at right now. Now, they are still technically rebuilding. Okay, and they have spent $500 million to acquire players like Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, and Jacob deGrom. But if they can continue spending just a little bit more like that, we can consider this, and the Rangers can make the postseason. Now, the Rangers will make the necessary additions to bolster their bullpen. I firmly believe it. But will it be enough to enhance their chances of achieving the postseason success? I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't answer that question until I see who they get. In the end, the 2023 MLB trade deadline will be exciting, filled with moves and changes for many teams. However, these three teams should consider going all in and making some big trades to improve their chances of success in the postseason. However, enhancing their pitching rotation, adding some power to their lineup or shoring up their defense, these teams can potentially severely impact their chances in the postseason or to make the postseason. So as we approach the 2023 deadline, keep an eye out for these teams, okay? I know I didn't, and now I am, as they look to make a splash and compete for that World Series title. But Panda, take us to our next topic. Thank you for that, Panda. And of course, for those listening, we're going to talk about the PGA Tour-LIV Golf partnership and the scrutiny it's facing from the government. So, recently, the PGA Tour/LIV government partnership, LIV Golf partnership, has been facing government scrutiny due to its partnership. This partnership has been a significant player in professional golf, with LIV Golf being a new entrant in the market. However, concerns have been raised about this partnership's potential impact on competition and professional golf's overall landscape. As the investigation progresses, many, as myself, eagerly await the outcome to see what the future holds for this controversial partnership. And it's the truth. It's quite controversial. But why? Let's get into a little bit of what's going on. So, the Permanent Subcommittees on Investigations in the U.S. Senate has initiated a review of the proposed partnership between the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, along with the Saudi's Public Investment Fund, or PIF. The committee's chairman, Senator Richard Blumenthal, sent a letter to all involved on Monday that informed them of the inquiry. Bluntman wrote on the letter, while few details about the agreement are known, PIF's role as an arm of the Saudi government and the PGA Tour's sudden and drastic reversal of position concerning LIV Golf raised serious questions regarding the reasons for the terms behind the announced agreement. Okay? To explain that, J. Mohammed, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, stated that this will never be a partnership that would never come out and be a partner with LIV Golf. Fast forward to a few weeks later, bada bing, bada boom, he is now a partner. What is going on here? Right? So, even he came out and said, yeah, you know what? Y'all can call me a hypocrite because I'm being a hypocrite. And that's fair. I mean, at least he's taking partnership of it. But this does propose a lot of concerns because the PGA Tour was very adamant about not supporting LIV Golf. So why the sudden change? What agreements did they talk about, or what happened in the talks that suddenly they went from, hell no, stay the hell away from me, we're going to do our thing, you do your thing, we're not going to stop you, but sorry, no, this is two different things, to, hey, best friend, come on over, let's hang out, me and my wife, me and the kids, let's love each other, because we're BFFs for like ever, we've known each other forever. Like, really, what happened? Now, we can see that there are many different sides to this, and one of the main reasons that Blumenthal put in this investigation, is due to the Saudi government's role in influencing, the Saudis' role, which they can easily influence the efforts and risk posed by a foreign government entity assuming control of an American institution. In other words, why are the Saudis so eager to be part of this American institution that's been around for a millennia? Why? Like, that poses a lot of risk. It's the truth. Now, we do not know why the Saudis want to invest in sports, which some have said that it's a form of sport washing so that they could help their image in the long run, given that, as we all know, they've had a history of human rights abuses amongst just a plethora of issues. So joining a historic institution like the PGA Tour could be seen as, hey, how can we break human rights when we're part of the PGA Tour, who's all about everybody and helping everybody be together? Or is there something else involved here? Is there something else going on? Like, why all of a sudden are they trying to sports wash by gaining power in a lot of different things, such as, in soccer, in race cars, again, now in the PGA Tour, and there's talks to say that they are thinking about buying out a NFL team as well, and potentially an NBA team. Now, this creates many questions for fans and lovers of the game. And even though the PGA Tour has come out and stated that the new agreement with the PIF would not affect its operations, are we truly convinced by it? It may be true, but how can we ever be 100% sure that they will do what they say, especially after this? Now, the PGA Tour has till June 26th to produce all the documents needed for the subcommittee. And from what I've heard and what I've read, there's a lot at stake here for the PGA Tour. From the tax exemption status to its status as a benchmark in American sports. Simply because they lied to us. They said that we're never going to join, and then came back and slapped us in the face and said they would join. And then, why are the Saudis wanting to be so part? Now, this is going into another rabbit hole of, trying to get control of American government and blah, 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 and spies and all that BS. But in the long run, this does not help the game of golf. This does not help anybody. On the other side, too, they also have the U.S. Department of Justice on their backs investigating allegations of monopolistic behavior by the PGA Tour. This inquiry was initiated following the federal antitrust case filed against the PGA Tour by 11 players from LIV Golf League. As part of their recently announced alliance between the PGA Tour and and the PIF, all ongoing court proceedings between PGA Tour and PIF will be concluded, as stated in a news release regarding the agreement. In other words, they can still go on with their sale, even though they're being investigated. But again, what's going on with the PGA that 11 players have filed a motion, an antitrust case against the PGA Tour, and now Saudis went in. Now, this answers a little more questions saying that, hey, maybe the PGA Tour needs money, and the only way to get it is through the Saudis. And now the Saudis are like, hey, we're here to make our image great. PGA Tour, hey, we're broke as shit. Bam. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense here. I don't know what else to tell you here. But as the PGA Tour and LIV Golf partnership continues to face government scrutiny and scrutiny by the fans, many fans wonder what the future holds for these two organizations and golf as a sport. While some argue, and some will argue, that this partnership is crucial to the growth and success of both the PGA Tour and LIV Golf, others, like myself, believe that the government should interfere to ensure fair competition. It's the truth. And prevent potential monopolies to be created. Unfortunately, though, regardless of the outcome, both organizations must remain transparent, ladies and gentlemen, and accountable. That's very important here. Accountable to not only the shareholders, but their fans and the lovers of the game. Only time truly will tell how this partnership will ultimately play out. But we'll see. We'll really have to wait and see. Panda, take us to our next topic. And that's a wrap, folks, for today's episode. That's all, folks. Oh, I wish I could do that. Wait. Trouble? Nope, not that. That's all, folks. No, I'll figure it out. But you get what I'm trying to do, Looney Tunes kind of thing. But yeah, whatever. So, today, we covered some very hot topics in this world of sports. From the PGA Tour-LIV Golf partnership, facing major scrutiny from both the government and fans themselves, to the potential trade deals that these three MLBs need to make to become contenders at the trade deadline. And for God's sakes, do them! I want to see it'll be exciting. Please! And of course, let's not forget the latest buzz surrounding Chase Young and what could potentially happen. And there's 7 suitors who could really change the NFL this season with just a simple addition of such a young pass rusher. We also discussed the recent incident involving Brittney Griner and the Mercury's upcoming travel adjustments. Again, I'll say it again, ladies and gentlemen. No one deserves to be harassed, okay? If she was harassing him and he came back at her, then fine, that's one thing. Or if she was in his podcast or in his YouTube videos answering questions willingly and that happened, that's different. But in the situation, based on the videos that we have seen, this is harassment and that's not okay in any situation. Of course, guys, remember to follow us on all social media, which includes TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, listen to the show on all your major podcasting websites and listening devices. But as always, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time for more exciting sports news and updates. Until then, keep playing hard and stay safe out there. Bye-bye.